Ever get that feeling like you're scrolling through a news article or a blog post and you just want the TLDR, the juicy bits?
Uh-huh, yeah. I know that feeling. Information overload is real.
Right. So today's deep dive is for everyone who's ever felt that way about a legal case. We're going deep on a story, and trust me, this one's got more twists and turns than your average courtroom drama.
When you sent this over, I gotta say, my interest was piqued.
I know, right? It's a disbarment case, and before you tune out thinking it'll be all legal jargon, stick with us.
Hmm?
This one's got it all. Accusations of shady dealings, whispers of financial scandals, you name it.
And to up the ante even more, the case itself is, well, let's just say it's been dragging on longer than some of our listeners have been alive. Filed back in 1994.
1994, back when MC Hammer and grunge ruled the airwaves.
Okay, you're dating yourself a bit there.
All right, point taken. But back to 1994. Picture this. Lawyer Pedro Aguirre files a formal complaint against a fellow attorney, Crispin Reyes. Aguirre's claiming some serious breaches of legal ethics once Reyes disbarred.
Disbarment, that's not just a slap on the wrist, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about stripping a lawyer of their license to practice law.
Exactly. It's a big deal. So clearly, Aguirre believed something pretty serious went down.
Absolutely. This wasn't just a disagreement over legal strategy or a personality clash. This was about the integrity of the legal profession itself.
High stakes. But here's where things get really interesting. While the case was ongoing, Aguirre passed away.
And that's a critical point. A lot of people might assume that when a complainant in a legal case passes away, the case dies with them. But that's not always true, especially with disbarment cases.
So even though Aguirre was no longer around to see it through, the case continued.
Right. Because remember, disbarment is about protecting the public and upholding the standards of the legal profession as a whole.
So what were these accusations that Aguirre felt were so serious they warranted disbarment? What exactly was going on that made him say, enough is enough? Give us the rundown.
Well, get ready for some drama, because Aguirre did not hold back. He went so far as to accuse Reyes of, get this, bragging about having secret arrangements in a Supreme Court case.
Secret arrangements.
Yeah.
Okay, that's definitely the kind of phrase that makes you go, what's going on here?
And it doesn't stop there. Aguirre also claimed that Reyes was publicly accusing others of some pretty serious stuff, too.
Like what? Spill the tea?
Well, according to Aguirre, Reyes was out there calling people out for what he dubbed the biggest bank fraud, even going so far as to publicly question their conscience and their motivations.
Okay, so let me get this straight. We've got secret arrangements, accusations of fraud. It's like something straight out of a John Grisham novel. Where do we even begin to unpack all of this?
Well, I think a good place to start is by breaking down these accusations one by one. Like, take those secret arrangements Aguirre mentioned, right?
Yeah.
It sounds shady for sure. I mean, who doesn't love a little bit of intrigue?
Right.
But here's the thing. Without any hard evidence to back it up, it's just, hearsay. It's like, I could say I have a secret recipe for the best chocolate chip cookies in the world, but until you actually taste them.
It's just a claim.
Exactly. So Aguirre's accusation, it really hinged on whether he had any concrete proof to back up those claims of secret arrangements.
Makes sense. So what about the whole name-calling aspect of all of this? Because accusing someone of running the biggest bank fraud, questioning their conscience, that's pretty strong stuff.
Oh, absolutely. And it's definitely something the court would take in seriously. But here's where it gets a little tricky. While those kinds of statements might raise eyebrows, they might not necessarily be illegal.
Really? So you can just go around accusing people of major crimes and it's no big deal?
Well, not quite. It's not that simple. Here's the thing. Lawyers, they have a duty to zealously represent their clients, right? Yeah. There's a line. And that line, it exists somewhere between aggressive advocacy and what could be considered, well, unprofessional conduct.
So it's like you can throw a punch, but you can't hit below the belt.
That's a great way to put it. It's about maintaining a certain level of, decorum and respect.
Yeah.
Even when you're engaged in a heated legal battle.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've got secret arrangements, potentially flimsy without more evidence, and then the strong language, which is like an ethical gray area. What about the forum shopping accusations? What was that all about?
Yes, forum shopping. Well, imagine this. Let's say you bake a cake, and it's good, but you think maybe it could be even better if I get some feedback. So you go to your neighbor, and they say, it's a bit dry. But you go to your friend across town, and they say, needs more sugar.
Okay, so you're saying I'm going from person to person until I get the answer I want to hear.
Exactly. And forum shopping is kind of similar. But instead of cake feedback, you're filing lawsuits in different courts, hoping to find a judge or jury that's more sympathetic to your case.
So it's like playing the system.
In a way, yes. And that's why it's generally frowned upon, because it can be seen as a way of, you know, undermining the whole point of having a fair and impartial judicial process.
So in this case, with Banco Reyes, did the court see his actions as a clear-cut case of forum shopping?
Well, that was the million-dollar question, wasn't it? It's a nuanced issue. Ultimately, it would come down to whether the court believed Reyes had legitimate reasons for filing those additional complaints, or if he was, as Aguirre claimed, trying to game the system for his own benefit.
Okay, so we've got our three main accusations: secret arrangements, harsh language, and potential forum shopping. After all this back and forth, what was the final verdict? What did the court decide?
Well, after years of legal wrangling, the court finally reached a decision, and this is where I think things get really interesting, because the outcome, it wasn't as clear-cut as you might think.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, the court did find Atty, Reyes guilty, but only of using inappropriate language.
Hold on, seriously. After all that, years of legal battles, it boils down to what? A few strong words? What happened to the secret arrangements, the forum shopping? I thought those were the big accusations.
You'd think, right? It's like ordering a 5-course meal and only getting the appetizer.
Yeah.
But this outcome, it really highlights something crucial about the legal system, about how it operates.
What's that?
Evidence. You need it. It's one thing to make accusations, even serious ones, but without cold, hard proof to back them up, it's just, well, hot air. And remember, Aguirre, the one who made those accusations, he's no longer around to provide more context, to testify, to maybe even shed light on those secret arrangements.
So you're saying that without Aguirre's testimony, without his perspective on everything, it was difficult for the court to really get to the bottom of those more serious accusations.
Exactly. And that absence of key evidence, it likely played a significant role in the court's decision.
So what about Reyes? What was the final verdict? Was he disbarred?
Not quite. The court ultimately censured him and issued a fine for his use of inappropriate language, but they didn't disbar him. It's kind of like a formal reprimand, a way of saying, hey, you need to watch your language,
Yeah.
but not necessarily a career-ending punishment.
Interesting. It makes you wonder, though, about the long-term impact of all of this. I mean, this case, it dragged on for years, even if Reyes ultimately wasn't disbarred. It makes you think about the toll it must take on everyone involved.
No doubt. Legal battles, especially ones like this, they can be incredibly draining, emotionally, financially. It's a good reminder that even when justice is served, there aren't always clear winners and losers.
Well said. And there you have it, folks, a deep dive into a case that reminds us that the law, it's not always as cut and dry as they make it seem on TV. It's about evidence, it's about ethics, and it's about the very human emotions that fuel these legal battles.
Absolutely. It's about the power of language, the weight of accusations, and the importance of upholding the integrity of the legal system as a whole.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Until next time, keep those legal minds sharp. And remember, sometimes the most compelling stories are hidden within the pages of a